ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to 5 Minutes of Math. This is Mr. Lunsford. Thank you for joining us one more time. Tonight's homework is for Friday, February 16th. And this time we're not even looking at numbers. We're talking about proofs. Now, let me tell you what a proof is. Proofs can either be a good way to look at why math works the way it does, or it can be the greatest source of headache you've ever had. And I'm speaking from personal experience. We used to do these things in geometry and algebra, and when I was your age, I looked at this as though I was like, well, if they're giving me the facts, why do I need to justify the steps in a problem? And that's why I have gone through these problems the way I've gone through them. You know how we do equations and inequalities, and I tell you why we do each step, say the subtraction property of equality, or I say additive inverse, or I say the distributive property. Well, the reason I do that is because I want you to know that there's a rationale behind everything. And also because I used to hate doing proofs. I used to hate it. I don't mind it so much now. But back then, let me break it down to you like this. We're doing proofs of different facts about angle measurements, and I have learned to be okay with them. So let's start. This is number 18. Vertical angles have the same angle measures. Now, the book is asking us always, sometimes, or never. All right. So is this statement true, false, or sometimes is it true? Vertical angles have the same angle measurement. Well, this one's easy. This is always, and the rationale is vertical angles are congruent. So if you have that X shape, those angles that sit opposite to each other, as long as they're straight lines, those angles are congruent. And that rationale is the proof of that statement. Now, here's the rest of it. If you have two perfectly straight lines that cross each other, the angles that those perfectly straight lines form have to be congruent. Because if they're not, it means those lines are crooked, okay? If you have ever drawn two straight lines, and you can do it now if you want to, just draw two straight lines and have them cross on your paper, look at the angles that they form. If they don't form, if the opposite angles are not congruent, if the vertical angles aren't congruent, then the lines aren't straight. And you can prove it, just draw it freehand and draw it with a ruler. That's your proof for this statement. All right, going on to the next one. Two right angles are complementary. Well, this is never, because if you have two right angles, we know one of them is 90 degrees, so two of them have to be supplementary, not complementary. And the definition of complementary angles include two angles that add up to 90 degrees. That's just it. Here's number 20. Two obtuse angles are complementary. Well, if you have an obtuse angle, again, this is a never statement. If you have two obtuse angles, that means both of them are greater than 90 degrees. And by definition, here I say it again, an obtuse angle has to be greater than 90 degrees. So if I add two numbers that are both bigger than 90, I'm going to end up with a number bigger than 180. Okay? And number 21 is the only one I've included a picture with. Two vertical angles are complementary. Is that an always, sometimes, or never statement? In this case, this is sometimes, and I'll tell you why. You can have two vertical angles to add up to 90 if and only if both of them are 45 degrees. All right? So here, this is the case where it has to be true. Both angles have the same measurement, and both of them add up to 90 degrees. So if you notice, 45 plus 45, both of those angles are both 45 degrees, and they add together to 90 degrees. So those vertical angles are also complementary to each other. All right, that's basically it. Okay, so proofs are nothing to be afraid of. They're just explaining why the relationships in math work the way they do. Okay, so don't be afraid when your teacher says proof and gives you a chart and says go for it, and you start sweating, or you do like I did and start crying. It's okay. So you guys have a good one, and that's basically it. This is a very short one. You all have a great night. Thank you for listening.